Baphomet, a symbol that's revered by proponents of all things evil and perverse. This anthropomorphic and androgynous goat creature elicits intense emotion in those who lay their eyes on it. There are people who love Baphomet, and there are people who hate it, and it's been triggering the same strong emotions in people for thousands of years. Or has it? How old is Baphomet really? Is this symbol as ancient as we think? The first known mention of Baphomet was in a letter written in 1098 by Anselm of Ribemont, describing the siege of Antioch during the First Crusade. Anselm stated in his letter that the Turks called loudly upon Baphomet. Most scholars believe that the word Baphomet refers to the Prophet Muhammad. If you look at the words Baphomet and the French version of the Arabic given name Mohammed, it is spelled Mahomet. So you can kind of see the similarity between the two names. A couple centuries later, in 1307, Philip IV of France had every Templar in France arrested, accusing them of heretical acts, one of them being the idolatrous worship of a bearded male head called Baphomet. Some of the Templars, through their long military occupation of the Crusader states, had begun incorporating Islamic ideas into their belief system. This was seen and documented by the Inquisitors as heretical behavior, which ultimately solidified the gruesome fate of the Knights Templar. So with this taken into account, we can see the early negative connotations Christians tied with the name Baphomet, considering that it was originally meant to be in reference to the Prophet Muhammad, who the Christians deemed a false prophet from the get-go, and ultimately a symbol of evil. We can see how it grew into a symbol of evil in the Christian world. As for the symbol of Baphomet, the one we know of today, it was first illustrated not by some mysterious sage or mystic long ago, but by the 19th century French occultist Eliphas Levi. Levy's illustration of Baphomet is a hermaphroditic winged sabbatic goat with a human figure adorned with numerous esoteric symbols. As a whole, the image of Baphomet is a representation of pervasive duality, according to Levi. Levi used his drawing on the cover of his 1861 book titled Transcendental Magic, Its Doctrine and Ritual, and from there the image gained significant recognition by occultists and anti-occultists alike. Who would have thought Baphomet had its roots in Islam? Now, this is not to say that the Muslims invented it themselves. Rather, it came from a misunderstanding of the pronunciation of the name Muhammad. Since the Christian world looked upon the Islamic world with fear and hostility, it's no surprise as to how the name Baphomet, aka Mohammed, was conflated with evil. All in all, the name Baphomet isn't ancient at all. The name alone is only 1,000 years old. And the image we know of today is even younger. It's not even 200 years old yet. It certainly is strange how the mere sight of something is enough to cause our hearts to skip a beat, despite not even knowing what it actually is. Ultimately, Baphomet is not some ancient biblical demon. It is rather a much newer entity that rose from the ignorant state of the medieval Christian world.